Hey, thanks for tuning in to Adventures with Joe Mayo. I'm Joe Mayo, and today we're going to head to a waterfall. But I'm going to show you in a little more detail how simple it is to take those beautiful bridal veil pictures of waterfalls. So if you are a photographer, amateur photographer, I'll show you. Super simple again. What I'm shooting this video with is my Canon R5, and I have the Canon EOS R. This was the Canon first mirrorless camera. Great camera. So I actually use this one more for photos than I do the R5. R5 mostly for video. But anyway, Canon stuff. You do need a camera that you can go off of your automatic settings. An SLR, DSLR, mirrorless camera, something like probably preferred. You need a tripod. Camera has to be sitting absolutely still. So get your tripod, get your camera. You're going to go out to your waterfalls and set it up. Get the waterfalls in your frame. Now, there's some important things to know. Number one, if your camera has image stabilization, which most cameras do today, you need to turn that off. Whether it's on the lens itself, on the Canons, it's on the lens itself. Actually, also there is an internal as well. Make sure that is off, and the reason for that, the waterfalls are moving. Water is moving, so it's going to try and compensate for that. And if it does, which it probably will, you're going to get a blurry picture and not know why. So turn that off. Also, you're going to go on your settings, and you're going to go to the AV setting. Go off of your automatic or program, go to AV. AV is aperture value, also known as aperture priority. And what you're doing, you're telling the camera you're going to set the f-stop to whatever you're going to set it to, and the camera is going to work around that with the ISO and the shutter speed to compensate so you will get a properly exposed picture. Ideally, you want f8 to f11, at least in my opinion. You get your best color saturation, and it's kind of a sweet spot in there. Now, what's going to happen is, if it's not too bright out, your shutter speed is going to slow down to a certain point. If your ISO is on automatic, it's going to increase the film speed to compensate for that. You don't want that. You want to be able to get a slow shutter. So make sure your ISO is set on manual at 100, which is usually the slowest ISO that's out there, and that's also the highest quality. So now your shutter is going to adjust for that proper exposure. Now, ideally, you want a half a second to 2 seconds. Now, you can certainly take that to 4, 6, 8, experiment and try it, but minimum is a half a second. If you're not getting there, which is very possible, two things. One, a polarizing filter, which is recommended because that will cut the glare down of the water. Two, and one of the most important filters, that one and also a neutral density filter. You can use one or the other, or both. Now, the neutral density filter, what that does, it reduces the amount of light that's coming into the camera. And if you get a variable one, what's going to happen, you have your camera set up, you're looking at the waterfalls, everything's looking good, your camera's shooting at 1/30th of a second. That's certainly not slow enough. That filter goes on the front of your lens, you start turning it down, the adjustment, so you're letting less and less light in, and what's going to happen, that shutter speed is going to slow down because it's trying to compensate for that less light coming in. So it's going to drop down to 1/10 of a second, 1/8 of a second, half a second, 1 second, 2 seconds. Find that sweet spot and try taking a picture. Now, another thing, you can't just push the shutter button on your camera because there's no way, nobody can do it without moving the camera. So ideally, if you have a remote control, get one of these. The Canons have these. If you don't and can't get one, your camera may have a self-timer. You can also use that. So that way, when you press the button on the camera and it's counting down, by the time you step away from it and it takes the picture, you'll be good. And that's really about it. It's that simple. And give it a try. Let me know how you did. Now, I'm not sure about other cameras. I can tell you with Canon cameras, on the Canon cameras, there's 3 custom settings on most of the DSLR bodies. You can set it to 1, 2, or 3. So the thing to do is once you have these settings set, go into your menu, and you can set it to save to custom 1, let's say. So when you're out in the field, you get your camera on automatic or program, you're shooting pictures, and you go to a waterfall, you can just set it on that custom function, and it's going to, you know, set your ISO, set your f-stop, set everything you need to set, and you're good to go. Makes it super, super simple. And those same settings also work for nighttime photography. If you're trying to take nighttime shots of buildings, the Las Vegas Strip, whatever you need to do, same thing. Put it on the tripod, turn off the ISO, or I'm sorry, the image stabilization. But everything's going to be kind of the same settings. So that, you know, make sure you save those settings if you can. And every time you go out, boom, it's just super easy. But anyway, we're going to go out into the field here, and we're going to try a few, and I'll show you the differences in shutter speed and how that affects it. Now, this also affects if you're going to shoot video. Very important. I've seen people shoot daytime waterfall videos, and they're wondering why they get this kind of choppy effect. And the reason for that, which is the same as taking pictures, that shutter is going too fast, and it looks choppy. You need to use that neutral density to slow down that shutter to, you know, a reasonable amount, and you should be able to preview it in the camera and see. So anyway, let's go out in the field and give it a try. Okay, guys, we're down at the falls. It's April 20th. It is 36 degrees. It is freaking cold. My fingers are numb. But that's not why we're here. We're here to show you, give you the examples of how we're going to take pictures of this waterfall. I hope you can hear me. It's really loud, extremely loud here. I'm going to take a step down so I can show you the waterfall. When you spin around, we're kind of balancing on some rocks here and stuff, so yeah, how about that? There we go. This is a good waterfall to do our example. Okay, for the video purposes, I've already taken these shots. So first shot was just with the camera settings as it would normally do by itself. And I'll put the settings up here what it came to. And here's the picture. So you can see that's not that exciting of a picture. So we're going to turn down the neutral density filter, so it's going to cut down that light coming into the camera. We're going to take it down to a ½ a second exposure at a f8. And let's take a look at that. Okay, that's a lot better. Now we're going to turn it down a little bit more. And we're watching our speed because our ASA is already set at 100, that's locked. Our aperture is set at f8, that's locked. So the only thing that's going to be variable is our speed. So as I turn the neutral density down, we're going to take it down to 2.5 seconds. And the camera's doing that automatically because it knows that's what the exposure needs to be proper, because I have it on that AV setting. So here's 2.5 seconds. So that's what we're talking about. So you got to do this in different times, like when the sun's up, when the sun's down, preferably when the sun's down. You get a much better equal lighting shot of these videos. So, okay guys, we're here at another waterfall to give you a couple more examples of how to photograph a waterfall. So let me get the camera spun around here so I can show you the waterfall. This is Buttermilk Falls in western Pennsylvania. It's got a good flow to it right now. And even though the sun is up, you can still get that long exposure by using the neutral density filter. So again, I'm going to take a picture with the camera, and we're going to do it just as the camera would shoot, which actually is doing it at about 1/20th of a second. I have it set on f8. So it's actually giving a little bit of motion blur, but take a look at this. Then we're going to give it a shot at a ½ a second. So let's take a look at that. And finally, here's 2.5 seconds. So that's my personal favorite spot, but you know, ½ second, 2.5, probably more like 2.5. You can shoot whatever you want. You can go with 10 seconds if you want.
Now, the longer exposure you go, the more movement, trees and stuff, it's going to blur out, so you got to keep that in mind. But let's take a look at 2.5 seconds. Okay, and I think this is stellar, so I'm going to share some other pictures from this spot, shooting pretty much at 2.5 seconds. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in today. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, give me a thumbs up, hit that like button, subscribe, share it with your friends. And if you have any questions about photographing waterfalls, let me know. Love to hear your comments. Anyway, we'll see you on the next video.